live, there will be like a tweet that generates. So like quote tweet that, share it with your Discord so we can get some activity in the chat. And then we'll do a little pre-show as we're waiting for people to stream in, and then we'll go in and attack the WBC board. We should be up now. I am going to share this in our company chat and our Dub Club Discord. And while I do, Aiden, why don't you introduce yourself first, and then John, I'll hand the mic to you. Give us like your quick background as a capper, as a Dub Club, how long you've been on the platform, how long you've been sharing your plays. Introduce yourself to the folks who may not be familiar with you.
Yeah, I've been on the platform for, I want to say 3 years, if not even longer at this point.
Yeah, you got some miles on those tires.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm glad to get in early. But yeah, I cover mainly the 4 main sports, the NHL even, NBA, MLB, NFL. MLB is by far my most consistent, most profitable. I run mostly on DFS apps like PrizePicks where you can take advantage of things like correlation. And that's kind of where I thrive. So very excited for MLB being back.
Why do you think baseball is your best sport?
By far correlation. It's just really easy to correlate guys.
Give us an example for the uneducated among us. If there are any, maybe who aren't familiar with correlation betting strategies, give us the 101.
So you can basically just, like in the NFL, you can take overs for passing yards and receiving yards for quarterbacks and receivers. You can do the MLB with hit runs and RBIs, fantasy score as well. Like just yesterday, I took Tatis and Perdomo, who hit in the 9 spot and the 1 spot. Perdomo came up, hit a single, and right behind him, Tatis hit a home run. So both those guys went over hits, runs, and RBIs in back-to-back at-bats. I did the same thing with Soto and Vladdy yesterday, but both of them had home runs, solo shots. But,
that makes it easy.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, just doing things like that is how I've been able to be extremely profitable. And PrizePicks hasn't really caught on as much as they should have at this point.
Yeah, why do you think that is?
I don't think people are really taking as much advantage as they should. Like in the NFL, they have really adjusted it a lot with passing, but like you go to the first half category instead, and it's still like an 8x payout. When if you take normal yard, it's like 6.25x. There's a lot of like niche ways to take advantage of them. Like no matter the sport, it's just fun to kind of take advantage of them in those ways.
I know that they recently sold the company. Have you noticed? I think they've been less aggressive on acquisition for new users, marketing to new users. Have you noticed anything on the risk or trading side since they got acquired by a larger company, or it's kind of same old song and dance?
There've been a few changes. They're definitely running a lot less promos, which I'm not really worried about anyway. They already limited me by a lot. I literally can't play more than like $25 in a day now. Like that's how much they threw me there. But yeah, I don't know, just a lot less promos as of late, but not anything major, I don't think. They really locked in on those demon plays, which they're stealing a lot of money from people with those. But the value is pretty bad on those.
Interesting. Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the stream. I think this is your first episode of DCTV. Definitely the first one you've done with me. But I know you're a pretty active streamer on YouTube, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Videos every day, streams once in a while, yeah.
Love it. All right, John, from the other side of Florida, tell us a little bit about your background as a capper, how long you've been covering MLB. Well, I shouldn't even spoil the surprise. John, tell us about your background as a capper.
Yeah, so I think I've been on Dub Club maybe 4 years now. I think this is my 4th year. Mainly do baseball. MLB, World Baseball Classic, college baseball is probably my favorite. And yeah, it's because my background's in baseball. I went to grad school, and out of grad school, I got a job with the Toronto Blue Jays and worked in their player development and high performance departments. Did that for a year. Awesome experience, so much fun, and learned a ton. And then got a job with CBS Sports and was there for about 5 years, handicapping, doing things like that before shifting over to Dub Club and coming over here and kind of starting a company out of it.
What's the biggest difference as like an analyst and content creator when you're also running your own business, right? You've been like an analyst for a team. You've been an analyst for like a big media company. Now you've gone like direct to consumer. What's the biggest difference in terms of like the day-to-day for you?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, there's not too much of a difference. For the most part, I'm doing the same things, but I think it's just more focusing on plays specifically as opposed to just analysis in general.
Yeah.
Talking about the league, talking about players, whereas now it's more talking about the league and players in terms of odds. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Both of you guys have extremely unique backgrounds and like really sharp, differentiated ways of attacking the board. So I'm very excited to get into the stream. DOMG is getting a lot of love in the comments already on YouTube. We know he's a YouTube star. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Today, we're really going to focus on the WBC quarterfinals. Most places don't have markets out yet, so we'll do what we can with the markets available, and hopefully everybody looks smart in this session. But let me start by introducing formally the two esteemed guests joining us today, both from the great state of Florida. Let's start with DOMG Props. I don't even know how to pronounce it correctly. Did I nail it?
This is DOMG. Yeah.
Why do
There's
I
an
want
old
to say
YouTube
DOMG?
I don't know. It's just the old YouTube name back in the day and just kind of stuck.
That should have been my first question of the pre-show. What's the story behind DOMG?
I made Madden videos like all the way back when I was like 13, and just I've been on YouTube for the longest time, and just kind of ended up resulting me in posting, my practice plays, and just kind of grew from there, I guess.
Unbelievable. That's a good origin story. Surprisingly high number of cappers. Their name started like as a gamer tag on Xbox or whatever. So I'm not surprised. Anyway, DOMG was, if you were listening to the pre-show, he's got a very differentiated approach, especially to attack these DFS apps like Prize Picks, looking for positively correlated spots where he can get outsized value. He's very generous to offer a 60% off discount 3-month package as part of the stream. You can check that out in the replies if you're watching on X. If you're watching on YouTube, head over to X on dubclub_win and check it out. DOMG, say HELLO to the listeners at home. Thank you so much for joining us.
How you doing? Glad to be here. Ready for MLB. A couple days away now. 13 days, I think. Very excited.
But before that, we got some WBC action to attack, which brings me to our second guest, the one and only John Bowman, a guy who I followed personally for quite a long time. Really well known for sides and totals in MLB market and a WBC killer. Let me check my notes here. 17-8 to start the pool play round of the WBC for plus 6.2 units. That's outstanding work with a limited amount of games. John, say hello to the listeners at home, and maybe share why you're having so much success early on in this fun tournament.
Yeah, no, I mean, happy to be on. Thanks for having me. Excited to get into the World Baseball Classic. I think this is one of the most fun tournaments, and hopefully everybody, who's following for the first time is able to see that. I think the success is mostly just watching it in 2023 and, knowing what players are available for what teams and, what countries are kind of up and coming, like this Italy, Canada, these teams, they've been playing well for a while now. Where as a team, maybe like Cuba has kind of been trending down, barely made it in 2023 to the quarterfinals. So I'm kind of just being aware of those sorts of teams and knowing which players on what team are contributors.
Amazing. Clearly the proof is in the pudding. Why don't we start before we get into the actual matchups in the elimination round? John, maybe I'll lob this up to you first, given the fact that you're like really dialed in on baseball and WBC markets. How is covering these games as an analyst, as a capper, different versus a regular season MLB game?
Oh, I mean, I think all the eyes are on the World Baseball Classic right now, whereas MLB, a lot of people, they don't really start watching until, at least after NHL, after the NBA Finals. Maybe they'll tune in around opening day, but after that, I think they kind of just sit around for a while and, don't really focus on it until it's the only sport on TV. Whereas World Baseball Classic, I mean, you guys have seen the atmospheres. It is absolutely electric. Dominican Republic, Venezuela game, totally sold out, as loud as it gets. So super cool to watch that game. And you kind of just see the passion with these players. For example, a Dominican Republic team yesterday, they're going crazy. I don't know if you guys have heard, but some of these players have said they'd rather win the World Baseball Classic than the World Series. So
I think Shohei Ohtani said that in 2023.
Yeah, it just shows how much this tournament means to the players and playing for their country.
It's special. DOMG, is this your first year covering the Classic? Have you done it in prior years? For listeners who maybe aren't familiar, it's an every 3 years tournament. But I think before 2023, the last one was like 2017. Due to COVID or something. So there's been about 5 of these. DOMG, did you cover it in 23? Have you covered it before? Or how have you found capping it to be in 2026?
I did not do this previously, but love the tournament. It's definitely been fun to watch. It's definitely different though, because it's like some of these teams have complete all-star rosters. Like obviously USA's loaded, and you're never going to get a team with like Tatis and Soto on the same team. So definitely been fun to watch, and they're definitely very passionate about it. So it's it's been successful so far. So
the thing that's really cool about the Classic, and we kind of talked about this on my last DCTV that wasn't baseball focused. You got the best players in the world who really care. It's not like a just show up to show up. Like guys are playing with a ton of emotion. They really want to win. And then you've got like the guy from the Czech Republic who's an electrician who had to take PTO to go participate in the tournament. And seeing those guys on the same field, and baseball being the sport that it is, like any given set of 27 outs, anything can really happen. It creates these really cool matchups and moments where you've got Shohei Ohtani batting against some dude who's been grinding it out in the Australian Baseball League for 10 years and has a job when he's not playing baseball. So it's a really fun tournament. I'm glad that it's getting so much attention this year. It felt like I've been a big fan of the tournament since it started, but I feel like 2023 with the Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani moment in the final was really like a breakout. Baseball has arrived, or WBC has arrived moment, I think. And then I think that the momentum has really continued in this 2026 rendition. Okay, now let's talk about the matchups and the games. Before we go into the specific elimination round matchups, one thing that's worth noting, from here on out, the games are single elimination. Pool play is over, so it's win or go home. This whole tournament's going to be done by about this time next week. John and DOMG, do you guys have any teams out the gate that you would feel comfortable like placing a future bet on? We're down to 8, and there's some very clear favorites and some very clear, very long dogs. But do you see any value when it comes to picking a winner or having a couple bets out there at this stage in the game? John, I'll start with you.
So full disclosure, I'm on Japan and the US. I made these futures long before the teams were even announced. I won't say that I knew the US was going to have a bunch of top players coming in, but I knew their odds were going to significantly shift. I believe it closed at -110 to win the tournament, which is insane.
Wow.
We got them at +222. And then Japan at +350. I mean, Japan's always there. They won last year. They've won 3 of the 6, I want to say, or 3 of the 5. It's been Japan 3 times, Dominican once, and USA once. So got those 2 plays in early. That being said, if I were to jump in now, I would probably go with the Dominican Republic. That team, a lot of these teams are stacked. Japan, Dominican, US, they're all stacked, but Dominicans are hitting right now. And that's the biggest thing.
Looks like batting practice out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the biggest thing with the Dominicans is they put so much pressure on themselves for winning this tournament. Like I said, a lot of the Dominicans will say they would rather win this tournament than win a World Series. And, you don't usually see one game single elimination baseball. So, if there's a game where you just don't show up, one guy has a bad game, one pitcher has a bad game, gives up 3-4 runs, it could be it. That could be it. So, I love the Dominicans. I think they're the team to beat right now. The only worry would be how much pressure they put on themselves and how much pressure is on them getting towards the final in these single elimination games.
Why do you think they haven't really been in the final game the past couple editions? Because they're always loaded. Is it just bad luck and variance in any game, or is there something to be said there for putting so much pressure on themselves culturally to where the moment gets big and the lights are bright? Like there's a little bit more possibility to fracture.
No, I think that's truly it. Like, I think there's just so much pressure on these guys. Like, this is the tournament that they want to win. It only happens. I mean, you can't really say when it happens because it happened 3 years ago, then before that 6 years, and before that 4 years. So it only happens every so often. I'm not going to say a certain amount of years. And these players look forward to it. You know, certain teams like the U.S., you're wondering if players are going to come and play for them. Dominicans, you know that they're going to get all their top players playing for their team. So I think it has a lot to do with the pressure and, you know, the pressure that they put on themselves and how badly they want to win.
I mean, the lineup is loaded. I just pulled up the lineup from yesterday, and it's literally an all-star team. Fernando Tatis, Ketel Marte, Juan Soto, Vladdy Jr., Manny Machado, Junior Caminero, Julio Rodriguez, Austin Wells, Geraldo Perdomo. You got Julio Rodriguez batting 7th in an exhibition tournament. It's a absolutely stacked lineup. Aiden, what do you think? Do you have any teams that you like where you think there's some value still on the board to win it all now that we're down to 8?
I lean the United States, honestly. I think whoever comes out of the next round, Dominican Republic or US, be surprised if they lost in round 1. I think it's whichever one of those guys come out. Japan's only like a -160 to beat Venezuela right now. We'll see how far they can make it. A little bit surprised by that, but still. But really, it's just because of the pitching, though, for the United States. I think their pitchers they have 3 of the best pitchers out there. They're probably going to run Webb, Skeens, and Skubal again. So they only pitch 4, 3, and 4 innings in their first couple of games. So I think they just have an advantage when it comes to the pitching. But yeah, as you guys said, Dominican Republic's been cooking with their bats right now. So they're going to be very, very tough to beat.
The WBC, it attracts a lot of chatter about the bats and the bat flips and, you know, the lineups. But, you know, somebody's got to throw the ball from the mound. And obviously it's a different style of baseball because guys are on pitch counts, but those pitch counts tend to get a little bit more lax as the tournament progresses. And we saw Shohei Ohtani throwing 98 in the final championship game 3 years ago. He seemed like he was not leaving anything behind. So definitely something to watch. Let's get into the games. First one in Miami, Friday night. We've got the Republic of Korea against the Dominican Republic. John, what did you see from the Korean team in pool play? I was a little surprised to see them in the tournament or in this round. I thought that Australia was in pole position to get that second spot coming out of Tokyo. I haven't watched much of the Korean team. What can you tell us about who's kind of leading the charge for the Korean team? It's obviously a great baseball country, but give us the 101 on this particular squad.
Yeah, so Korea, they won the tiebreaker to get out of their pool. And I don't know if anybody saw, they won because they scored a certain amount of runs and only gave up a certain amount of runs to Australia. It was pretty crazy. You could see their fans, you know, very into it. They needed to win by exactly 5 runs. They gave up a run to be up by 4 runs in the top of the 9th, and then came back, scored 1, or I believe it was the top of the 8th, and then came back and scored 1 run. They might have been the road team, but it was the last inning. So that was pretty electric. Australia botched a double play ball that would have gotten them to the knockout round. So to be honest, I'm not totally sold on Korea. They went 2-2 in their pool. They lost to Japan. They lost to Chinese Taipei. Chinese Taipei is usually a solid team, but they were not playing well this year. And now they travel, I mean, you know, halfway across the world for this game. I believe it's in Houston. So definitely a tough game for them. Or the Dominicans are absolutely red hot right now. You know, the Koreans got Jung-Hoo Lee. Shea Whitcomb is playing for them. Haesung Kim is playing for them. A lot of players in the Korean Baseball Association. Hyunjin Ryu, I don't know if anybody remembers him, but he's one of their pitchers. He recently left MLB a couple of years ago, I want to say. So they do have some notable guys, but a lot of them are from their home leagues. And, you do see those players thrive in those home leagues. But like I said, they went 2-2. I'm not totally sold on them yet.
Aiden, anything to add from your side of things, or like particular players or prop matchups that you're digging into? I know you made a ton of money betting on the Dominicans in the pool play section of the tournament.
Yeah, I don't see Dominican Republic losing this game. I'd definitely be running a prize pick stack with those guys. I love taking these guys in the 9 and the 1 spot and the 3 and the 4. So you'd definitely be seeing me do that again. Definitely a team I'll be backing.
Talk a little bit about how that strategy played out in the first round, and maybe like deep dive for someone, the odds aren't up yet on prize picks, but deep dive, like how you attack that. Once the lineup drops, what are you doing when you head to the app and send out your plays to your subs?
Yeah. So I just always make sure, to see the lineup, the confirmed lineup for the game, always wait until that drops. I just found a lot during MLB season last year that the most like correlated spots were the 9 and the 1 and the 3 and the 4. So yeah, I just saw yesterday again, for example, Perdomo and Tatis in the 9 and the 1, and then Soto and Vladdy in the 3 and the 4. And I love their matchup. I always look at the odds too on that. Just seeing the run line, the team total for the teams, and who's expected to win. And just that's kind of how I choose my matchups, my team, and then kind of how I make the plays.
And are you generally betting like 9 to score a run and 1 to hit an RBI, and same with 3 and 4? Or like what sorts of markets are you attacking with these correlated spots in the lineup?
It kind of depends. For WBC specifically, it's a lot of hits, runs, and RBIs. That's by far my favorite market.
Mm-hmm.
And then fantasy scores.
Mm-hmm. Fantasy scores, sure. Interesting.
Yeah, it's all just prize picks, fantasy scorings. Sometimes pays a little bit better too, but their lines have been pretty inflated for WBC. So I've definitely been leaning on the hits, runs, and RBIs, which I kind of prefer anyway.
Love it. Okay, so we're expecting, no surprise to anyone listening, probably a big win for the Dominicans in the first round of elimination round. But again, at one game, anything can happen, and the Koreans have got plenty of good ball players. Let's head to the second game on Friday. USA and Canada at it again. Feels like every time I look at the television, we got the battle for the northern border of this fine country. USA lucky to make it to this round. Mark DeRosa had a little bit of foot and mouth syndrome, not knowing exactly what it took to make it out of the pool play round. And Canada, outstanding showing out of their pool. I don't think a lot of people expected them to be playing at this portion of the tournament. John, what led to the overperformance from Canada, and what are you looking for in this matchup in particular?
Yeah, this team's legit. They've been around in the past World Baseball Classics, but they've never made a knockout round before. A lot of that has to do with the pool that they're in. They've been in USA's pool every World Baseball Classic before this year. So when USA is in it, they're going to make the knockout round. I think this was the biggest scare this year. So it's always tough playing for one spot, and Mexico's been in their pool a lot as well. But so I think they got a good draw with Puerto Rico and Cuba, I guess, being the favorites in that pool, and Puerto Rico, having a lot of guys unable to play for the team. Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor, due to insurance issues. Cuba, I think, has been falling back a little bit. It's a lot of players from their own league, which is a solid league, but Canada's been getting some major league talent. They've got the Nailers playing for them. Owen Cassidy, Abraham Toro are red hot for them. Otto Lopez at the top of that lineup. So Canada's got some legit players. I think they're going to put up a fight in this game for sure.
What is going on with Cuban baseball? I think like when this tournament started back in like 2006, they were like, if not the top favorite, definitely in the top 2 or 3. And now they're struggling to make it out of pool play. What is going on in Cuban baseball, and why are they struggling so much to keep pace in the international setting?
Yeah, it's a great question. I believe they were in the finals in 2006. And, I guess I won't say it's been all downhill. This is the first year that they haven't made the knockout round. But I think a lot of it has to do with, I mean, there's a lot of politics involved. You know, a lot of the players have to defect to come to the minors, come to the major leagues. And then when they do, a lot of the players aren't going back and playing for Cuba. There was a time when they weren't allowing these players who defected to come back and play for Cuba. I mean, a guy like Luis Robert didn't go back and play. Randy Arozarena, who's Cuban.
Yeah, plays for Team Mexico.
Defected to Mexico to be able to sign with the minors in Major League Baseball in the minor leagues. And he's playing for Mexico now. So, you know, I think there's a lot of politics involved. A lot of these players that are Cuban aren't necessarily going back and playing for the Cuban team, or they're not allowed to go back and play for the Cuban team. And yeah, we're just seeing them, you know, I guess seeing them not play as well because of it. I mean, they had 3 errors in yesterday's game, and that was just the ones that counted. I mean, they let a couple other fly balls drop right in front of them that should have been caught. I mean, there's a catcher's interference that they started a catcher for the first time in the World Baseball Classic. He used his mask to block a ball, which you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to use equipment to wrangle the ball, and that turned a strikeout into a base runner and ended up getting 2 more runs that inning that aren't technically unearned. So, you know, they're just not playing great baseball. And like I said, a lot of politics involved there as well in terms of the team.
Fascinating. Geopolitics X baseball. John Bowman with the breaking news. Aiden, what do you think? Did you make any money on either side of the North American border battle that we've got coming Friday night? Are there any spots you're really looking to attack when these two teams play on Friday in the elimination game?
Yeah, I think the United States is the only other team I'm going to back here from the first round. Again, I just kind of love to hammer those favorites, especially with those spots on the lineup they like to do. So definitely be attacking that. Looking like Bobby Witt's probably going to lead off again. 9 spot will probably be Bryce Terang or PCA, more than likely. And we'll probably get Jojen Schwarber in the 3 and 4 spot. So we'll see what the confirmed lineup looks like, and I'll probably be going with those guys.
Back to the well. Nothing on the Canadian side? You don't like the maple syrup men?
I'll look into the lines, but United States pitching is just – I love their pitching.
Tough to bet against those guys.
For sure.
Okay, let's head to the Saturday matchups. In the Miami game, it is Puerto Rico versus Team Italy. Okay, before we go into the matchup, John or Aiden, I hope one of you know the answer to the question here. What defines or constitutes eligibility to play on a given country team in the World Baseball Classic? Because from everything I can tell, Team Italy is just a bunch of dudes from New Jersey, which I love. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just curious what is kind of defining who's eligible to play for a given country in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's an exact an exact percentage of what you need to be. I believe I know they're very lenient in the World Baseball Classic because they want to include as many top players as possible.
Yeah.
So that's why you see a lot of these players who, you know, are American or were born in America, you know, with parents that are from a certain country, or I believe even grandparents from a specific country. So I'm not sure if there's a specific rule for the World Baseball Classic. It might be each team specifically. But that's why they really just want to be more inclusive and make it as competitive as possible.
I went to college with the Beck brothers, Tristan and Brendan Beck. Tristan is relief pitcher, I believe, in the Giants right now. Brendan's in the Yankees organization. I see them on Instagram with the British flag getting ready for the WBC. I'm like, guys, you grew up in Corona del Mar. What are you doing repping, the monarchy? But I think that's exactly what it was. I think their grandfather was like Welsh or from somewhere in the United Kingdom. And they're like, yeah, we want to rep the flag. It's a great, fun tournament. Like, why the hell not? So the Italians, who knows how many exactly are from Italian. They got the espresso machine in the dugout. They got a bunch of vowels at the end of the names. What led to their breakout performance? I don't think anybody, certainly I wasn't expecting them to escape from pool play. And they did, and what was a pretty tough pool with the USA and Mexico in the mix. Why did they overperform in pool play, and do they have a shot to advance in the knockout round going against a very stout but beatable Puerto Rican team? Aiden, I'll start with you and then go to John. What did you see from the Italian squad in pool play, and you think they have a shot to advance Saturday against Puerto Rico?
I do think they have a shot. They've been very good in their first 4 games, 4-0.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, I like their. It is crazy for sure. I mean,
I didn't realize they went 4-0 in pool play. I knew they beat the U.S.
Yeah. I like their matchup against Puerto Rico. I don't think it's too bad for them. It looks like they are a plus 104. It opened with them being a little bit more of an underdog. It's kind of moved a little bit more towards Italy. I'm assuming there's some money coming in on them. But I do definitely think Italy has a shot. They'd probably be my pick if I had to make a pick there. But the roster's kind of slept on a little bit too, I believe.
Yeah, no kidding. Aaron Nolan. Is that
Mhm.
Michael Lorenzen or Jared Lorenzen? I don't know.
Vinny Pasquantino.
Yeah. John Birdie. I mean, there's some dudes on this squad for sure. I haven't really studied the Puerto Rican roster. John, what do you think? Is this team legit for real? And where did this come from? I can't really remember them making any noise in prior WBCs.
Yeah, I think they're definitely for real. They were a lot of people's sleeper team, the dark horse, but I don't think a lot of people saw them winning the group and beating the U.S. But yeah, this team is legit. I mean, in the World Baseball Classic, to have a full lineup of major leaguers is pretty legit, and that's what they have. They don't necessarily have those top guys of Bobby Witt Jr., Vlad Guerrero Jr., but they have all major leaguers. So these guys, they've been the best players on their team for a very long time now. Even throughout the minors, they've been some of the best players on their team. So they know how to handle that. But yeah, Vinny Pasquantino, you got a guy like Jack Caglianone, who I think is going to be one of the best players in the league. When he figures it out, he had a tough rookie year, but a lot of people have tough rookie years.
Yeah.
And then their bullpen, they've got a lot of major league arms. Joe LaSorsa, Dan Altavilla. So they've got a lot of options, and they're a legit team. I do like them against Puerto Rico. I think they should be favored. Puerto Rico, like I said, they're missing some top guys who didn't get cleared with insurance, and Puerto Rico did not impress me in their group play. They were barely beating teams, and I think that's going to come back to bite them against an Italy team who's really hitting right now.
And they were at home, right? Their pool was in San Juan, so that's got to be a big advantage. Great baseball culture in Puerto Rico. They're headed to Miami, so I would expect it still to be a partisan Puerto Rico crowd, unless we got a bunch of people getting on flights across the Atlantic from the old country. I would be a little surprised to see that. John, you mentioned one thing, which was insurance. I know there was a lot of controversy around this, American players getting insured versus people from different country. Can you give us the Spark Notes version of what that controversy is, and has this been a problem in the past?
Yeah, so essentially these players, they sign massive contracts, right? These multi-million, multi-year contracts. And if you play in those contracts are with a Major League Baseball team. If you play in the World Baseball Classic or with your national team and say you get hurt, you forfeit that money when you go back for however long you're hurt. So if these guys tear their ACL and aren't able to play this entire year, and then maybe it's a career-ending injury, they can only play maybe one more season, they don't get the rest of that money. It is voidable. Whereas if you're insured, you pay these insurance companies a certain amount of money. If you do get hurt, then the insurance company pays you out. So for whatever reason, I mean, there's probably a lot of politics involved in it too. I mean, the insurance companies have, what they look at, but for whatever reason, there are a lot of Puerto Rican players, that weren't able to get insured. And so they weren't able to play in the World Baseball Classic, most notably Carlos Correa and Francisco Lindor.
Those are important guys. And do you know, is that insurance, like the premium or whatever we want to call it, is that coming out of the players' pockets? I imagine that the teams aren't paying for it, or how does that work?
Yeah, I believe it's coming out of the players' pockets. And yeah, so they pay these insurance companies a certain amount of money, and then if they do get hurt, the insurance companies pay out their contracts. So kind of just works like normal insurance, except these guys are making hundreds of millions of dollars.
A couple extra zeros in the
yeah, it's understandable why if you don't get insured, why you can't play. It could be a career-ending injury, which obviously no one wants, but that's the risk. And
Edwin Diaz, 2023, Missed a whole year on this Puerto Rican squad, and he's out there playing again, which is pretty impressive. Testament to how much he cares.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll see him now whenever he gets a save, he doesn't jump up and down and celebrate. That's why he looks like it's just a normal, Tuesday afternoon every time he gets a save now.
Very stoic. Aiden, do you like anything on the Puerto Rican side? We're looking at the 9-1 matchup. I was pulling up the box scores from the pool play rounds. They got Nolan Arenado in the 3-hole pretty much every game. Obviously, he's about as good of a ball player as exists today. He's a little over the hill, but the bona fides are good. He's in the 3-hole. We've got Carlos Cortez batting cleanup. And then they've kind of played around with the 9-1 spot in the different games. Is there anything you really like on the Puerto Rican squad in terms of the 9-1, 3-4 play that you've been talking about, or anywhere else within this roster?
This is one that I might stay away from. We'll see what the over-under on the game looks like, but I don't expect it to be that high. If I do take a play, it'll probably be more maybe on the Italy side. I don't know. We'll have to see what the lines look like for that game, but as of now, I think I'm going to stay away from this one.
Love it. Let's wait and see. Okay, the final matchup round that's already set, Venezuela and Japan. Both these teams are chock full of MLB talent. Both these teams, I think, showed pretty well in pool play. This is the last knockout round in the quarterfinal round. John, why don't you get us started? What do you think about this matchup? Do you like a side? Take it away.
Yeah, so I think this is easily going to be the most intriguing matchup of the knockout round, of the quarterfinals, I should say. Samurai Japan, they've been one of the top teams for a very long time now, in the World Baseball Classic. As I mentioned, they've won 3 of them. Venezuela has been one of the better teams as well. The thing is, they haven't really been hitting Venezuela. And they scored, I want to say it was 6 runs against Nicaragua, something around there against, it wasn't Colombia. They played another smaller, I believe it was Israel. Maybe it was like 6-2 against Israel too. They just scored 5 runs against Dominican, partly aided to an error in the last inning and a bunch of walks, but they just haven't really been hitting. And a lot of that has been Jackson Chorio was out until the last game or last 2 games, I want to say. But I think a lot of people sleep on Japan just because they don't necessarily know all the players that are on the team, but because they're all playing in the NPB. So it is a little juicy on Japan here, especially against a very good Venezuela team. But I don't think Venezuela has been playing as good as, maybe they should be. So I like Japan there, even though it's a bit juicy.
Aiden, anything you like? Both these teams have great deep lineups. Are you looking at a side? Are you going back to the well with the 9-1 and the 3-4 play? How are you thinking about this final game of the quarterfinals?
I probably won't run a stack for that game. I think Japan will win this game, but if Venezuela is going to win this game, I think it's going to be because of Ranger Suarez. It looks like he's going to be starting for Venezuela.
Cool.
So he's locking that down. That's pretty much why I don't want to touch the stack there for Japan, but I do think they could do some damage. I do like Japan to win that game.
Venezuela in the 3-4 spot, probably Luis Ariz, Salvi Perez. That's pretty darn good. Luis Ariz hitting the cover off the ball in this tournament. Oh, yeah. And then 9-1 is Ezequiel Tovar and Ronald Acuna Jr. Venezuela's got some dudes in that lineup. I mean, why do they not get as much chatter as like the Dominican squad, for example? They kind of went toe-to-toe in pool play, and their lineup, there's not a ton of daylight between those 2 lineups.
Yeah, I don't know if they've put together as much as they really should have, maybe. They were the runner-up in their pool, but the lineup is definitely loaded. So
they definitely lost to the Dominican squad, but they went toe-to-toe. So I like that you guys are on Japan. Japan has clearly shown they can win it all in this tournament. They've got real chemistry, too, and they seem to have the right approach for winning these kinds of tournaments. But I wouldn't be shocked at all if Venezuela wins the ball game. I mean, 27 outs, anything can happen, and they got good pitching and a very good lineup. This is kind of an open-ended question. What effect does so much travel have on a team that's coming out of Tokyo pool play and is literally going halfway around the world in a few days between games. I know Japan has done that every WBC because they seem to always have a pool in Tokyo at the Tokyo Dome. But, I would imagine it's got to have some impact on being fresh, et cetera. So how do you think about baking that into your analysis, or it's kind of like these guys are pros, they've done it before, don't even worry about it? Aiden, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely going to be a major impact. I don't know that it's enough for Japan to not beat Venezuela, but yeah, like you said, I mean, they've done it before, and I like their chemistry a lot, so still give me Japan. I don't think it's going to matter enough. But I think that could be definitely one of the reasons though why they're only like a -160 favorite to beat Venezuela. So I think they open at like a -140. So
John, what do you think? What impact does travel, so much travel, the relatively tight turnaround time have run a big game like this where it's win or go home?
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a massive impact, but like you said, Japan's done this every year. I think they and their trainers know exactly, what to do and how to get their players ready. Also helps with their first game being on Saturday. Korea's first game is tomorrow. And Korea hasn't been in the knockout round since 2009. So,
oh, wow. That's
there
good
could
fun
be,
fact.
Yeah, exactly. And you'd think they're one of the top baseball countries, and they are, but it's Chinese Taipei is usually in that pool as well, and they've been playing pretty well. So yeah, Korea hasn't done it since 2009. I don't know how this is going to affect them. They also have one less day to rest. And they were they played the last game in the pool as well against Australia to get here. So they have all that travel and the shortest time to play their game and get ready. So I do think that's a big factor as well. And, Korea's, prize is getting to play a Dominican team, and that's not traveling. So good luck to the Koreans. Brutal. But I do think it does play a little bit of a part.
Love it. Any parting thoughts from these fine, esteemed analysts before the quarterfinals start tomorrow? Should be a ton of fun. Win or go home baseball. There's nothing like it. All 8 teams clearly want to go the distance in this one and have great rosters. Any parting thoughts? Aiden, I'll start with you.
No, not really. I'm very excited to see what these lines are looking like. See what PrizePicks is going to give us for the slate. So definitely looking into Dominican Republic and the United States as probably being the 2 teams I'm going to hammer for the opening round.
Love it. John, parting thoughts from you?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, enjoy these games, enjoy the atmosphere. This is the best that baseball has to give. There are going to be a lot of kids in other countries that are going to watch these games and get inspired by these players. So I think it's going to be super cool atmosphere. We've got some heavyweight matchups coming up. And we're going to have some great matchups in this quarterfinals.
Amen to that. WBC is a super fun tournament. You can get all of the plays from our great guest, DOMG Props, 60% off 3-month package in the replies. John Bowman, 50% off the monthly. These guys are going to be pumping out a ton of WBC content, ton of MLB content. Opening day is a couple weeks away. So tap in now. I'm sure there's plenty of futures that will be available for folks who are interested in that style of betting as well. But thank you guys as always. This was a blast. And go USA.